Hello, I'm IskatuMesk, and I am here today to talk to you about Cosmonarchy Brood War and Cosmonarchy Brood War accessories. This will be Shambler versus Keyan. They are both actually playing as Zerg. We have a couple of games to cast today. It's part of a series. How exciting. So, two Zerg playing on Terminus. This is a map I have a little bit of experience with, as I played some matches on it a few days ago. Let's see what we got to work with. So, Terminus is a 1 versus 1 map with a little bit safer expansions than the 2 versus 2 map I saw earlier, and frankly most of the 1 versus maps I've played on thus far. So, you got an expansion right up here. It's quite defensible, a little open to the outside. And another one back here. It's also reasonably defensible, but this ledge here can be exposed to shenanigans. Perhaps most notable is all 3 of these mineral lines are within relatively defensible locations. However, you do have 2 entry points to your base, with the other one coming up here and all the way around there, so you have to be mindful of that. With another expansion over here. This one with 2 ridges as opposed to geysers. The geysers are here, but they're very far away. I remember Pernigo getting mishappy about my command center placement here, but that was because of the way these minerals were... I don't know. Don't come to me about command center placement. So, perhaps most notable is all these structures stacked in the center of the map, which I believe he talked about in one of his casts. I'm not really going to go through those, particularly since I don't actually really know what some of them do. Yeah, let's just hop into there and see what happens. So I do have to admit that the Zerg knowledge I have is not particularly good to begin with. And Zerg within this project is probably the race I know the least about. I have, however, seen both of these players play it to an extent. Keyan often playing as a random, although I thought he had a tendency more to Protoss. So I'm not entirely sure if he picked Zerg exclusively for this, or if he randomed into Zerg. There is a very early scout coming out from Keyan, however, quite early indeed. I wonder what he plans to do with that. Might be just checking to see if there's going to be any cheese, but Shambler has a very bread and butter Hydra build he typically does on this, although I kind of would have expected him to have been mining gas at this point if that's what he was going to do. However, it kind of looks like Keyan is going to go for an early expansion. He seems to favor more or less mid-game play. So a little different. But Shambler kind of is also going for an early expansion. Okay then. This will be unusual on several accounts. That drone there just doing a little wiggle to make sure that's what's going on. Both players probably going to be aware that they're expanding. As Shambler Kun's heading over here to shamble Hacharosk-wise, yep, confirming that. Neither player acquiring even a tiny amount of gas. There is a Drothith burrowed next to the hatchery. It can be... They're both... Trying to ambush it as it spins around. And off. He could just burrow it again, to be fair with you. Yep, there it is. I only feel like it's not even worth trying to force it to unburrow until you have a way to kill it. Generally with a military unit. If he's just going to burrow it there, it's almost not worth the attention span to get to try to unearth it, because yeah, it'll just pop back down again. You'd have to devote a lot of workers to get rid of it. So Keyan's expansion is going to come up a little bit faster than Shambler's. But both of them are getting the Quaz rocks, so not seeing gas. Oh, I stand corrected. And looks like Shambler is going to confirm that gas is being harvested, which really could mean anything. It could mean he's going to transition to something other than Quaz rock and get Hydras, or, much more entertainingly, Nathracors. Oh! Sassed, only momentarily, drawing a little bit of mining time, but dying horrendously. Yep, there comes the Spraith colony, precisely as he's preemptively getting the Spraith colony too. Although he didn't see any gas coming, gas is coming, so there'll be some premeditation involved with that. Just You don't want to be wrong about the Nather cores, but at the same time, if there is a timing push from all ground units, having the anti-surface defense would have been better. So there's a call to make in that regard. There's military units, however, coming out for both sides, with, of course, Nather cores coming on behalf of Keyan. They're going to be kind of late, and Shambler will have a little bit of time to prepare. If he decides to wait longer, I kind of expect to see more. Yep, more Quasilisks are coming. I had a really hard time dealing with Nather cores using Spraith colonies and Quasilisks, but it's possible that was prior to the Spraith colonies being buffed. So they do have an extra armor and a little bit of extra health, and the Nather cores have slightly lower sight range than back then. So, however, Keyan is not going immediately to aggress. He could go poke that expansion. It does have a Spraith colony there, but he may or may not be aware of that, actually. I realize I can turn off the thing there to see the air units moving around on the map a little more, which would help a little bit for Shambler because he is kind of a dark color and is a little hard to see on the map. So, indeed, those Nather cores are going to beeline straight to the expansion, and it seems like Shambler is just scouting with his own for the time being. I don't think these are going to pose too much of a threat to Shambler at all. They might snipe a couple workers if they commit. Yeah, you took down a Spraith colony, but the wiggling penises deter the wiggling penises. Honestly, I haven't the faintest idea how Zerg versus Zerg might conventionally go in this. If they don't both go Hydras and turn it into a micro battle, it's probably going to really determine if they try to go all Zethra cores or Quasilisks. I would probably give the matchup to the Zethra cores in such a case, because the Quasilisks are kind of like light multi-role units. However, Keyan is still getting the Hydrog Den anyways. Probably just because he saw other Nather cores and wanted some extra range to deal with those. Especially also since it was evident Shambler is just going to spam Spraiths, and yeah. Looks like there might be some tech switches. However, Shambler also getting the Hydrock Den, so they're both going to tech switch. Still, though, the Nather cores do offer both players map control. So they will both be scouting around, looking around for expansions, and this drone here will spot the eggs morphing. If Shambler is observing this, he will know precisely what's coming. There's a couple of Skithra cores as well, with higher range than the Nather cores, slightly tankier. Now we have some Vorva cores, or as I often think of them as Vulva cores. They are fairly expensive, considering that they are added cost onto the Zethra cores, but they are faster and have armor. So, as you can see, Shambler is most certainly aware of what's going on here, and out comes a Gabillion Circuits colony. Looks like he's just gonna maybe poke here and maybe murder some drones. Yeah, they still melt. However, Keyan is also attacking. The Quasilisks are tanking a little bit there, but there is a lot of air. Keyan's drones have all been massacred. They never burrowed. Too focused on the attack in Shambler's base. Shambler will burrow. But Shambler is still in a bit of a pickle. He's done a lot of damage to Keyan's expansion and is about to kill the Hacharosk, but it's his main that is in the most danger. He doesn't really have the resources to spam Hydras or too much of anything from that base. And he was going to run to his defenses, but the air units didn't turn to his units fast enough, and he got off a few kills that he probably shouldn't have, and was even able to escape. The Zethagors are now coming in now that the anti-services have been destroyed and are going to just finish this off. Shambler doesn't really have the resources right now. There's too few mineral patches to harvest from to keep up. And his own units have only now started to check out Keyan's base, but he actually decides to pull them back. There's 3 Hydras, which are quite outnumbered, and there's no anti-service defenses to help them. They're just going to die terribly. Although, all the Zethagors are dying to drones over here, so they got in a few kills I really didn't expect them to get. There is another expansion over here, and his air units are scooting over to try to clean this up. Probably wants to keep that Hydrock Den from going down, but I don't know if he's gonna... Okay. Keyan stopped paying attention to those. Oh! Well, now he has to camp that if he wants to keep the Hydrock Den alive. Shambler is still in the game, thanks to this 3rd expansion that he was building. Keyan, having lost that expansion, is now sending this one over here. But Keyan's definitely in a better spot. A lot less lost mining time. Still, though, he's going to have to... Spamming Skethracorus. This is probably going to turn into a Larvosk. I'm just going to try to push the offensive as much as possible now that... well, for one, Shambler has to camp this or it's going to die, and he really doesn't want to spend those resources. And 2, it's pretty obvious that even if Shambler has another base, economically he's very weak because he spent so much to build those units and wasn't able to fend off the Zethagors fast enough. And that's definitely going to be it. Shambler is going to probably try to defend this. He did actually rebuild the Hydrock Den anyways. He also got detection for the other one. A little bit of redundancy. I felt like there was no point in camping it if he was just going to rebuild it. Because if he had all of his units together, he might have been able to fend this off. As it is, though, it's just gonna get kited and picked off here. Yeah. I feel like Shambler might have had a chance to fend this off if he was just going to rebuild the Hydrock Den anyways. He could have just brought his units back there, condensed them all into one spot, and then just instead maybe spent that money on, you know, a Spraith colony or something, or just more units, right? It seemed a little redundant, but it still would have been a really bad position to be in, evidently. Maybe he was just hoping to delay as long as possible and then just abandon it, but... Yeah, you're going to see that Keyan had a massive amount of gas advantage because of the trading of bases. But in spite of that, the minerals were actually quite similar, and the total spent overall was quite similar. Okay, so this will be match 2. Shamble Wamble versus a fucking crow. Both of which are still Zerg, so... Unless Keyan has the same luck I do, it's going to be him explicitly picking Zerg for these matches. So, same positions as last time, slightly different colors, with Shambler being a more visible fecal color, and Keyan being teal. Neither player going for early gas again. But it kind of looks like Shambler's going to be the one to... No, they're scouting at about the same time. I wasn't sure what that drone was doing. He was kind of doing a little jig. Rain dance. And a second drone looking over there? Maybe he's also performing a rain dance. Or he might have been considering to expand to a different location, but changed his destination midway through. That does seem to be the case. So he's taking this expansion. I believe that this expansion is the lower yield on gas, although they are still closer than the ones down here. But it's very possible he's intentionally taking that explicitly for the minerals. And Shambler also picking a different location as well over here. No, so with gas harvesting, whereas Keyan is not going gas harvesting, so there's already a significant divergence. Keyan will spot the gas harvesters and no early Quasrug pits, so it's going to check up here. I'm pretty sure there's an expansion because didn't see any real indication of anything else being done at the moment, and surely enough. Oh no! Unfortunately, his expansion is currently being shat on. Oh no. There's a man spying on you. No military structures at all yet. He could face a timing push from this. Keyan is waiting so long to see what Shambler would build, so he could morph these into something relevant. But he hasn't built anything yet at all. Really waiting until the very end. Eventually, Shambler decides, fuck it, just make Hydras. And of course, he's also going to build a Sprays colony too, because he doesn't want to get cheese. 2 Zerglings coming out. I'll never get used to the names in this project, by the way. They're Zethrakors, not Zerglings. I'm not actually sure why it was called a Zergling, by the way. A lot of Blizzard's naming conventions are just entirely inconsistent. Like, you've got the Zergling, and then you've got the Ultralisk and Hydrolisk. So it's like 2 entirely different kinds of naming conventions just between that alone. And then they diverged into the stranger naming conventions like Guardian and Defiler. Like some other intern just came in and just patched them in. Apparently the Korean localization has even better naming conventions though. Oh my god! Keyan has not morphed these colonies at all. He knows there is going to be some Hydrolicks. But still, maybe he just decided not to morph them because he knew that air wasn't coming. They were just kind of like a reflex in case he needed anti-air. Curiously enough, I thought Shambler was going to turn that into a Sprays colony, but he didn't. More than likely because he just saw the Zethrakors over here instead. And oh, there's a mixed defense. Okay. This could be still quite annoying for Shambler because he doesn't have any military units. And the expansion in particular is very vulnerable because, well, there's not really enough workers there to really guard the Circuit colony. And indeed, Keyan's going for that one first. Oh, it's going to be a massacre. Instantly dropped. All the drones burrow. Fuck that shit. There is a Zero Core. He's a beefy fellow, but he's gonna have to do some micro here. He's already missing a lot of health. So just gonna waddle back home. So these dudes apparently do AoE. I actually was not aware of that. They are, however, quite fat. So Zethrakors could easily surround them. And a lot of damage can be laid out into them, just like so. They are also quite costly. I believe that those are 200 minerals a pop. So while Shambler manages to defeat the attack eventually, the total cost of it is really significant. Meanwhile, Shambler is able to relocate his Droleth, scooting it ever so slightly out of harm's way, but also not going to see this gas get capped and wouldn't notice any tech if it's placed further down. Meanwhile, Keyan's own Droleth is also sitting here, having a much more advantageous spying session, aware precisely of all the Hydralisks. This is a different attack angle. He might be speculating that there's another expansion up here, but there isn't. Seems like Shambler is just going to give up on the expansions for now. He looks to be just turtling down. Yep, That's precisely it. Oh, boop. Well, he did kill the drone. Oh. Oh. He wants to kill this too, but... okay. I'm not sure if that was necessary, but... Some Nather cores. Keyan doesn't have anything more in the way of military units. Those Nather cores could actually pose to be a headache when he moves out, though. If Keyan hadn't... I don't think the building unburrowed. I don't think he just unburrowed it himself. That may have been a mistake. This expansion is going to get flattened. He is kind of moving away, unfortunately. Oh, now he's coming back. Getting him to kite in front of the circuit colonies would have been nice. It would have been some free damage, but unfortunately, they got squashed. Oh, here comes the 3 Nather cores. 4 Nather cores. Oh, oh, oh. Shambler not really wanting to try to kite this too much. Just finally stood and fought. But there are more Nather cores. Oh, 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 oh. It had an attack in when the Hydra went down. Meanwhile, these Zethar cores came down here, squishing the newly made circuits and then dying miserably. However, Keyan did manage to save this expansion, so at the end of the day, he came out pretty well. There is a lot of Hydralisks, though. Shambler is just going to commit hard to the offense now. He has to find some way to stop Keyan from being able to actuate his economic advantage. Basically, what will happen is the Nather cores could lock him down if he tries to make a second expansion. And then Keyan's just going to gradually just outpace him and scale up. So he really wants to turn this into an advantage if he can. Yeah, those died miserably. Now the expansion looks pretty thoroughly fucked. Keyan's not producing too many units right now. Not really. He didn't really hit that point where he really could start spending that money. So Shambler's timing push, they would call that E-hand timing in the old days. However, he has some flying mustaches on the way. I'm not sure how useful those will be against Hydras. They are melee, but they do have AoE. However, they're not really that tanky against Hydras. And this expansion, just brought up, is going to be booted back down to Brazil. There's a single Hydra over here. Just chilling. Shambler still producing more Hydras. Keyan is now looking quite weak. He's going to have to kill these Hydras before they are able to damage his infrastructure anymore. Keyan's getting a little bit flustered, I feel. The Hydra dancing, he's not really willing to commit completely to it, but he's losing tech now and all of his drones have to burrow, freezing his economy. Yo, are we desynced? You know, some people might consider that a bad manner. It seems like Shambler... It probably looks like I'm doing nothing, but... I just eviscerate anything. I think kind of what happened is that Shambler's attack basically came at the exact right point, where... Because Keyan had to invest so many resources on those units that had just died miserably. like the Nathochorus, for example, and was just getting the static defense up, he wasn't really able to convert the expansion into that economic advantage. Meanwhile, Shambler had been doing nothing but making Hydras that entire time. So yeah, it was just a perfect time for Shambler to attack. Meanwhile, it's Keyan's turn to build static defense. Yep, it's just it. So like that game had some back and forth in it, some base trading. Each Zerg expansion was just free kills waiting to be harvested, with Keyan only able to hang on to the one for a short time until the second pressure came. Was able to fend off the first attack. I figured would have downed it. Thanks to the Nathochorus getting in more damage than they probably really should have been able to. Although it is a little hard to cut against them because they are quite fast. But after that, it kind of seemed like that Keyan just wasn't really able to muster too much of a defense, and then just like 50 million more Hydras showed up. So I'm certainly not at a stage where I can really comment too much about the balance in this and numerically. Hydras are definitely quite strong, but they're also reasonably expensive too. Like Shambler basically had to commit everything just to making nothing but Hydras. So if Keyan was able to hold off that second attack, then the third attack would not have been enough to defeat him. And he probably would have been in a very good spot. But maybe building the flying mustaches really wasn't the best idea, because they're still melee, which is going to be inherently weak against the Hydras. And they're not really that much tankier than Nathochorus for their cost, especially against Hydras. You'd more or less want those if he was also making Nathochorus, I feel. But I mean, it dictated in Wild, he only had 2 of them, right? Like, if he had more of them, then it probably would have been just fine. But getting a little bit flustered by the Hydras dancing back and forth, the Hydras just want to pull them away from the defenses. Although initially, in that one base, Shambler was taking free damage, dancing around in front of the circus colonies with the Nathochorus. And if Keyan had been able to keep him to do that, then losing a couple of Nathochorus would have been fine, but he probably would have done a lot more damage with the circuit colonies. There was a little bit of awkwardness on both halves at that point. But towards the end, it was pretty clear that Keyan was just getting run around in circles by the Hydras, and his units were kind of getting split up and picked apart. And yeah, I mean, at that point, economically, he was already in a really rough spot because he had lost so much investment in that expansion. So we're moving on to our third replay of the set, that is 3, with Keyan once again spawning on the bottom and Shambler Kun spawning in the top, with Shambler being a purple dark elfy color and Keyan being the color of tomato sauce. Once again, seeing Shambler scouting reasonably early. We'll see if Keyan, sends out that drone. Kind of a different path for Shambler this time. 2 drones. Is he going for a proxy? Or is he going to build an expansion at... What the hell are the drones doing? Where are they going? This one's the scouts. This one's going to backdoor, and Keyan's going to take the bottom right. Oh, this is going to be dirty. What's going on? What is going to happen in the top? Oh, it got butchered. Oh, Keyan just... Wait, what? No, he escaped! He fucking escaped! What a cheeky son of a bitch. Well, and there's the burrow. All that loss. I thought he was dead because he wasn't anywhere near there. He really is. That's not really like a super mega close proxy. It's not going to be able to stick circuit colonies in his mineral line yet, but... Oh, there's gas. Oh, ooh. Little bit of sassing. Doesn't really want Nathacores to come out. It could spell absolute doom for his cheese. No gas at all coming for Shambler. If Nathacores come out, he's going to have problems. But Keyan's going Hydralisks. Oh my goodness. This proxy could actually be really irritating. Nathacores, on the other hand, would just have free reign in his base. He could take Skittercores, though. He can still go air. It's just a little bit more expensive, I think. But it still could be quite viable. Absolutely. Oh my god, nobody has any idea at all. He is, however, getting his circuit colonies, so he won't be completely defenseless. His resources are hurting a fair bit, though, between that expansion, the Hydroc Den, and the circuits, and not really a lot of workers in his main at the moment. With 15 versus 13. To remember in the top right there, that actually shows worker count, and I don't know about the 4. The 4 might be military units. Yeah, very possibly. So the egg doesn't count as a military unit? I'm not sure about that. It's 14 drones. Keyan's going to build up. If he's able to build up, then it's going to be... Oh my god. Will he have that opportunity, though? Oh, it's a massacre. And he turned the other one into a Spraith colony. He's got to pull his workers. Micro the Hydra. No. Getting flustered. Absolutely. You can kind of feel Keyan's frustration trying to micro those around. And then they end up running circles around his workers, and he's not able to finish off the attack force anyways. If Shambler is really committed, I'm sure he can put Keyan really on tilt with that. Oh, and that'll do it. That'll do it. Oh, no. This is a mistake. You don't want to run back up there. The secrecy of that expansion is very important. If Shambler ends up drawing something up there, or giving Keyan the reason to believe something's up there, then if Keyan's able to fend this off, he's just going to walk over there and squash it. Keeping it secret is quite important. That said, I think Keyan's going to have a hard time with this. Seeing with the creep over there now and seeing them all spray down there probably gives it away anyways. I don't think it's going to matter. This is destruction. There's just too many small units just running around this sector here, able to surround anything they want. That's pretty much it. And Keyan does have this base. He could hold out, but worker count's not very good. Did you proxy hatch? Rip. And now, Shambler might be scratching his noggin. Where precisely is this young man hiding? Well, that's not over here. Where could he be? How bizarre. Where could he be? Did you? I was just thinking, wouldn't it be great if he had built a hatchery back here and no one is any the wiser? So now he has to look for this hatchery. Oh, and he's splitting up his forces too. That just might give Keyan the chance to at least dispatch some sass. Oh my god. No, he's going in. He's going in. This other one's not going to morph in time. Oh, it's a disaster. Oh, spinning. Oh. Okay. Did I not go off? Not sure about that. Oh, I'm sure it's just going to be a matter of Shambler unbuckling his pants and whipping out the belt like a lasso. And Keyan at this point is just being sassy. The proper way to return sass would be to send all the Droliths after him. He was building something, but it got cancelled. The final stand of the tomato sauce Alamo. Well, it's going to go about as predictably as you might imagine. No GG, it's just salt. Speaking of salt, to prepare this next replay, I actually have to sacrifice myself to an AI. I literally have to perform a ritual, a sacrificial ritual, to get the next replay to work. How is that for demonic? Alright, it's the final game. I have performed the sacrifice. We are prepared to see who wins in this final epic battle of crows and zombies. It's Shambler playing as Red Zerg versus Keyan playing it now as fecal-colored Zerg. Will Keyan be able to distribute the fecal sundae, the fecal funny, or Shambler once again cheese him to death? Well, I don't think there's going to be a proxy hatchery this time around. Looks like he's going straight for early Gask, and I imagine it's going to go straight into a Hydrock Den, the more standard play I expect from him. Keyan, on the other hand, might try something sassy this time around himself. We're not seeing a spattering of workers fan out, so maybe not. However, he's not going for gas. That would be indicative of something like Nathakor cheese. So he might be just doing something more okay. Maybe not. What's going on here? This is bizarre. What strange things are afoot? Oh my god, he is. What in the hell? What the This is utterly bizarre. How unusual. Keyan's got some mind games playing here. He had 2 drones. What is going on? He doesn't want me proxied again, that's for sure. However, if he wanted to, I guess he's never going to go for Nathakors. He's going to copy Shambler's bullshit. Oh no, it's not a Hydric Den. It's a Zorka's shrouds. Shambler is going to do some kind of cheese, and it's not going to be the standard kind of cheese. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets Gorgocores or something like that. Oh my god, he is. Oh, it's going to be a disaster. How will Keyan respond to this? Will he even spot it in time? I highly doubt it, because this Hatchrusk is only just finishing. This thing's going to be finished long before he has anything in his base to even see what's going on. Since that was his scouting drone, he has nothing over there to see this. Oh no. Oh, Keyan. My son, what's going to happen to you? Now it's coming. The Gorgokor is on the way. Just the one. No, he's making another one. Oh my god, he also thinks it's Hydras. Oh no, he also thinks it's Hydras. He's made this same horrendous error I made. Oh my god. Ooh, Keyan, you could just feel like the fuses in his brain just exploding. Like, why? Why does this always happen? There's no response. No nothing. What in the hell is going on? Oh, there's some Zethrochorus here. Keyan banks his hope on those Zethrochorus. Is he going to attack with him, though? Yes, yes, he is. So it begins. Oh no, Shambler. It's a massacre. They just go straight for the Hatterosk! The drones all unburrow! Oh, this could be a train wreck. What are the defeat conditions for this? Is it if he loses all the Hatterosks? Oh my god. Oh no. Oh. Well, Keyan's in a little bit of an interesting position now. A very interesting position. In that he's just gonna splash though. No, I guess he's gonna ignore them. He doesn't really need to splash though. The still Drolith's over here. That's just. It was very close though. Very close. If Shambler had decided to stop producing Gorgorkors at that point and didn't have one in his base, he very well could have lost everything. And Keyan had a good plan. But little did he realize that Shambler was very, very committed to the cheese. It was just a very different kind of cheese than he really expected. You didn't really expect him to go the gas-heaviest cheese possible, and he would have certainly seen it coming and been able to defend against it if he didn't commit so hard to his own cheese that he didn't spot the appropriate structure. Then he might have been able to make the call in the Gorgorkors. Of course, if he had just made Nathakors, it pretty much would have been the exact same thing, too. But the Nathakors probably would have come out sooner, and then he would have been more aware of the fact he waited so long. Maybe it would have been a better idea to send in a second drone when he builds a hatchery, just to be sure he knows precisely what actually awaits him. Because it's very possible that there might have been something else in there that made that particular flavor of cheese unfavorable. But he got out his cheese grater and he walked blindly into a meat grinder is pretty much what happened there. Killed 3 units and lost 3 units. Only 3. Both of them built the same number of buildings, and as far as resources are concerned, can't mine 25 gas. Oh, goodness.